Good evening, dear participants. It's nice to meet you again after the break and after all individual work you have carried out. And our today's lecture will be devoted to our central topic for January, diversity in media. So last two sessions, we made kind of an opening. We discussed what we are going to do during the second part of this workshop. You have been given orientation on what kind of tasks and assignments await you throughout the months of January, February, and March. Plus, you have been explained all those key assessments, and we made introduction into diversity in media. In our today's session, we will cover diversity in media in detail. So let's start. Today, we will talk about diversity in general. So what is diversity and how do we define diversity? We will talk about media and its relation to diversity. We'll talk about why diversity matters, especially in media. And of course, we will have an English improvement corner where you will learn some important vocabulary and phrases related to diversity. Okay, take some time and please leave notes in the chat box or in the comments. What exactly is diversity? What do you understand by diversity? So take your time and leave some ideas. Now, as we define diversity as a very huge concept, and this concept encompasses mostly acceptance and of course respect towards the differences. Diversity means understanding that each individual is unique and at the same time different. So difference cannot be defined as good or bad. Difference can only be defined as different, as unique, which is good because it contributes to, let's say, diversity of opinions in a community. And diverse communities tend to be more accepting towards democracy, towards human rights, and etc. So that's why diversity is a very important concept to follow. So in order to understand diversity in full scope, you have to know how people can be diverse. So there are different dimensions which define diversity. People can be diverse based on their race, based on their ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, social economic status, age, physical abilities, religious beliefs, political beliefs, ideologies, and many others. So based on the differences on those dimensions, people are divided into majority and minority groups. And usually when we talk about people of diversity, we talk about minority people. So you have to keep in mind that those aspects that we have mentioned right now contribute to diversity. Well, the task of each individual in society is to explore, to experience, and to provide safe, positive, and nurturing environment for each individual, be it at school, be it in your workplace, it can be in your local community. So we all want to feel safe, right? Even in Uzbekistan, sometimes there can be, let's say, tensions among different groups. So if you're a student coming from a different region of Uzbekistan and studying in Tashkent, you might experience effects of diversity. The way you speak, the way you carry out your daily tasks may be different from the locals, which makes you a diverse or a different person. But I'm sure that every individual in every community wants to feel safe, accepted, So how can we contribute to diversity? First step is by accepting that diversity is a good thing. So we have to understand that it's not about simple tolerance, but it's about embracing the differences. So each individual is unique, and we should not define those uniqueness as something positive or negative, but we should define it as something different. And this difference can be learned from. All the differences that we share contribute to the personal growth of every person. So this is how we should view diversity. Now, we will start today's session with an interactive icebreaker, and let's see how diverse you are. Well, I'm sure that even within our participants, there are no two people who can be exactly the same. We can be from the same city, from the same neighborhood. We can study at the same university. We can be at the same age, but still we share so many differences that make us quite different from each other. Now I want you to write down 5 things that make you unique or different from other people. If you're lacking ideas, you may use some of the categories I suggest now. So you can pay attention to your race, your ethnicity, background, your gender, sexual orientation, your status economically or socially, your age, your disability status, your religious beliefs, political beliefs, ideologies, and anything that comes to your mind. Try to note 5 things that you think you do or you are, but others are not. If those concepts are too big for you to concentrate, then you might try to concentrate on your favorite ice cream flavor, favorite, let's say, character in movies, in cartoons, if you're a vegetarian or not, a type of pets or number of pets you have at home, your hobbies, your best vacation spots, number of languages you can speak fluently, maybe you're right-handed or left-handed, maybe you were born prematurely, or maybe you are a twin. So anything that makes you different from others. I will give you time to collect ideas, and please leave your ideas in the chat. As we can see, you're all different. There is no two people that are exactly the same. Even within the same community, every individual is unique. And what should media do is to celebrate those uniqueness or differences. Diversity is a positive thing, and it brings real benefits to societies. So for every society, diversity brings richness and variety. There is always something new to learn from each other when people are different, rather than they are the same. Well, now we move to the concept of diversity in media. Why it's important for media to be diverse. Well, in the last session that we shared in the Telegram as question and answer, you already shared some voice messages on what diversity is and why media should be diverse. And to start from that point, you already have good foundation, good basic understanding of why media should be diverse. Media has huge influence in our lives. And usually the way media portrays some groups are accepted and spread. So that's why we have to be very careful and take into consideration the diversity issue when we produce media or when we consume media. Let's take a look at everything step by step. So we often observe prejudice or stereotypes in media. I'm sure that those two terms are familiar to you. In our previous sessions, we discussed what is prejudice and what is a stereotype. Sometimes media spreads inaccurate or misleading information that can be intentionally done or unintentionally through inaccuracy or ignorance. And this spread of misleading or inaccurate information containing prejudice or stereotypes can lead to discrimination, inequality, intolerance, and it can be the basis for crises such as disputes, conflicts at the national, local, regional, or even international level. Let's take a look at what's happening in Sweden right now. I'm sure that you are very media aware people and you often keep an eye on the news. So on the news recently, it has been shown a lot of times that in Sweden, there was burning of Muslims' holy book, Quran, by Swedish, by a person with the permission of Swedish officials that caused lots of, let's say, conflicts in different parts of the world, even riots, and people were marching against this. Some people were promoting this action, while some people were offended by this. So as you can see, media coverage of any event can cause conflict if it causes discrimination, if it contributes to inequality, and if it induces intolerance. So media diversity should aim to change this, and media has to accept different sides and different opinions. And the main task of media should be to prevent tensions and conflicts, not to promote them. But unfortunately, we often see media as a tool for promoting those conflicts, for, let's say, as a tool for different power groups to play with, rather than as a tool for strengthening human rights and democracy. So as a consumer of media, our task is to be aware of diversity issue and to carefully analyze every piece of news we are receiving. Is this piece of news triggering conflict, or does it contribute to understanding? This is also a very important aspect to consider when we deal with media messages. So journalists, when we talk about news, they are the big producers of media. They are professional producers of media, and they have unique power to shape the diversity. So they can promote diverse communities being accepted by others, and they can help overcoming misunderstanding and division among many different groups, or opposite. Just like this, when watching news, ask yourself a question. If message in this media, be it news, video, audio message, is it promoting acceptance or is it promoting division? Is it promoting misunderstanding or does it serve understanding among different groups? So those aspects must be considered in order to judge any media message as trustworthy and, let's say, as a message that can be accepted, consumed, and digested. Well, diversity is often ignored or poorly covered because of political agendas or power groups controlling the media production. And sometimes media producers, be it professional journalists, be it Instagram influencers, anyone producing video or any type of media message, they might be unaware of implications of poorly covering diversity in media. So media organizations or any individual producing media has to take into consideration of different needs and different viewpoints of different groups when producing any type of media. Just an example, if you're making video and you try to publicize this video with whole Uzbekistan, then you should not take into consideration only the area that you live within. Maybe the message you are spreading might be offensive for some groups living in different parts of the country. So I remember when I asked my student to prepare a presentation on gypsies living in Uzbekistan. The presentation the student made contained lots of offensive, discriminating images and messages. I'm sure that if publicized, this presentation would have caused misunderstanding, discrimination, and inequality. So whenever you try to cover any issue as a producer of media, or whenever you try to consume any type of media message, try to pay attention if it accepts or rejects different groups, if it asks for understanding or misunderstanding. So this is the main aim of diversity in media. And once you learn how to do it, you will become more media literate. You will deal with media-induced diversity issues more efficiently. So people, even ourselves, can experience diversity in many different ways. So we can be diverse based on our race, ethnicity, gender, disability levels, and many others. But we should keep in mind that diversity makes our community vibrant, not problematic. So preventing prejudice, intolerance in the media can be very essential in order to forestall social tensions, disputes, and violent conflicts. Last but not least, media diversity encourages fairness, accuracy, sensitivity, and promotes understanding between different communities, be it minority groups, majority groups, or any other different layers of society. So this is exactly why diversity should be in the central place when producing or consuming media. Before we move to our English corner today, I would like to share with you a presentation that wouldn't be a usual presentation, but mind map presentation. So one of the biggest assignments you guys had as summary assignments of part 1 of our workshop was preparing mind map presentation. We have received some mind map presentations. Some of them were, let's say, professionally designed. You guys tried really hard. We have shared your presentations with the general public as well. But I received lots of questions, concerns regarding the concept of mind map presentation. So for many participants, the concept of mind mapping and mind map presentation as a tool for expressing opinion was something new. So I did give you some tutorials, and today I'm going to demonstrate a professionally designed mind map presentation so that you guys will see how should a mind map presentation be carried out. And in this mind map presentation, we will try to summarize every point we made today throughout our session. So let's start. First of all, what does diversity mean? So diversity is the way that people are different. Every individual is unique. So when people discuss diversity in media, they usually discuss how closely media products as a group reflect the diversity of the society that is producing them. People may ask questions such as, are minority groups represented through this media message? If so, are they presented fairly or as a stereotype? So we have covered today the aspects of diversity as age, race, gender, ethnicity, and many others that contribute to the general concept of diversity. And here we are going to watch a small piece from the video with Idris Elba. I'm sure you know who he is. He's a very famous actor. And he's going to explain the concept of diversity within film and television industry.
Well, thank you for that warm welcome. Honestly, I couldn't feel more at home, and in fact, we're not far from where I grew up in East London. And as a young man, if I'm really honest, I never thought I'd come into this building. And actually, as an older man, I never thought I'd come into this building. But, well, Una invited me. And, well, you know what she's like. She's a little bit obsessed with diversity. And I said, Una, get out more. Stop watching so much TV. But the thing is, when you do watch TV, and when you do get out more, I mean, you do see there's a disconnect between the real world and the TV world. Okay, now people in the TV world aren't the same people as the people in the real world. And there's an even bigger gap between the people that make TV and the people who watch TV. Now, I should know because I live in the TV world. I know there's a lot of reality TV, which I hate, but reality TV hasn't quite caught up with reality. Change is coming, but it's going to take its sweet time. Now, why change? Number one, I think because the TV world helps shape our real world. It's the window into our world. But when we look out the window, actually, none of us really live on Downton Abbey. Number two, because the creative industries are the foundation of Britain's economy. You guys want to safeguard Britain's economy, right? That's our job. So if you want to, number three, safeguard the economy, you have to safeguard the creative industries because we rely on talent. Now, talent is the lifeblood, right? We can't afford to waste it. Otherwise, we can't give it away. But when you don't reflect the real world, too much talent is actually trashed. Now, talent is everywhere, but opportunity isn't.
Okay. So I hope that you got some ideas, basic ideas about what is it like to feel a diverse person in film and television industry. So for further reference, you might watch this video. You can find it on YouTube. It's a very useful speech if you're concerned about diversity in film industry. Okay, so if you have noticed, television industry, one of the huge representatives of media world, used to be different in the past. In 1950s, television industry was highly dominated by domestic comedy. So the concept of domestic comedy presented a standardized version of the white middle-class suburban family. I'm sure that there are some people, or at least your parents have watched the television series called Dallas. That's the name of a city, Dallas in Texas. So just like this TV series, many domestic comedies represented middle-class, suburban, white people. And in those TV series, we used to watch traditional nuclear roles: mother in the home, father in the office, and most television entertainment programs ignored current events and political issues. But TV shows have changed significantly within the past 50 years. Now, if you watch TV shows, you can see that diverse people are represented in the TV shows. On television, you can see different people. Well, there has been an overwhelming success of new programs that are created on the basis of sensitivity towards race, ethnicity, gender, and even sexual orientation. So now you can frequently see Black families on television, Latino families, Asian American families. So if you watch even children's movies, you can see that there is at least 2 or 3 Asian school students or Black school students. So the people they portray on television are quite diverse now. So I'm sure that as an English learner, you have addressed many TV series, especially TV series produced in the USA, in order to improve your English language skills. And one of such TV shows is Glee. I'm sure that some people have watched it, and maybe it's someone's favorite already. So in this TV show, many aspects of diversity are represented, including sensitive issues of orientation, race, and others. And producers of this TV show use the success and failure of different characters to comment on the harsh realities of the real world, while those characters being portrayed by diverse people. Well, diversity is important. This speech is produced by Asian American student. I will share the link below. If you would like to get some information on that, you might watch this video on your own, but today we will not cover it. Well, and our last video in this mind map presentation is pretty media representation.
One of the women, I think London, in the London segment, mentioned knowing that she's not represented in the media. And I think her nonchalance about that really stood out to me, because I think that's such a part of being a Black woman, is knowing that you're not included, and something about her just expectation to not be included or celebrated kind of like was a little painful to me, that it's sort of this acceptance that we have about that. And she went on to say that she didn't care and that she didn't need that, which didn't quite ring true to me. I think partly I was wondering, are we nonchalant or are we just numb as a self-protection mechanism? And then I think also the numbers don't really align with that in terms of what Black women spend on beauty. And I think a lot of us are taught to say that we don't care or that we don't need it, it doesn't matter, I'm so fine, you know, whatever, but the numbers actually do not say that. The numbers say that we care 3 times more than other groups. So that really stood out to me a lot, because I think that's an inner conflict. I do think we have a lot of confidence, because we have to, but I think we somehow still end up succumbing to the pressures.
I feel like because we don't get a lot of roles, we say a lot of yeses when we should say no. And I feel like, you know, okay, sure, we need, you know, video vixen and all of that, but for women to be able to stand up for themselves and say, no, I would not do that, and yes, I want a higher pay, whether in whatever field. I feel like with other races, they're more open and more aggressive about what they want. We might know what we want, but we're fearful and scared of saying what we want because we're fear of rejection. We're afraid that we'll lose that opportunity. So I feel like we're always in this survival mode to grab that opportunity and not weigh the pros and the cons of.
Okay, to summarize this video, women representing Black community, as you know that discrimination against Black people is the fairmost issue in American media. So As you have noticed, there is a growing tendency of including more and more Black people, even in traditionally white roles. So if you watch about British aristocracy, so TV series made about British monarchy, then you can see that some representatives of even British royal family are portrayed by Black people. And another, let's say, very loud representation was demonstrated by the new edition of Mermaid movie. So where the Little Mermaid is played by a Black woman. So just like this, those Black women are sharing with you the concept of pretty and how media represents the concept of pretty. So when media wants to show someone as pretty, they usually tend to pick white women with blonde hair and some other stereotypical physical attributes. So Black people are feeling, especially Black women, are feeling underrepresented in terms of being pretty. So just like this, media representation can cause a lot of inequalities. Well, to conclude, diversity is more than just tolerating differences. It's about respecting differences. It's about appreciating diversity and differences. It's about understanding that each individual is unique. So diversity plays a very important role in our society. We should not focus on stereotypes, but we should highlight positive aspects of being diverse. And media is one good place to do this. And throughout this presentation, we have demonstrated how you can prepare and present your mind map presentations.